Hello and welcome to Red Mate. Today I want to talk about Jude Bellingham. He's literally taking the footballing world by storm. Having signed for Real Madrid at the age of 20 from Borussia Dortmund, he's scored 13 goals in his first 13 games, which is extremely impressive. I believe that's on par, maybe even better than Cristiano Ronaldo, who at the time was playing in a much more advanced position. At the age as well, he's definitely making a lot of headlines. I thought it'd be best to make a video about him and definitely sing his praise for a little bit. He's obviously signed for a big fee, 100 million euros to Real Madrid. He was heavily sought after in the summer. He looks like a young kid at the age of 19, 20 who's going to go on and achieve a lot of big things in future. And you think, you sign this guy and you're going to have years of success, but he's already hit the ground running, which is absolutely incredible. For myself, having seen him play for England and in the Champions League for teams like Dortmund and, in the Euros, World Cup, things like that, you see his potential and you think this player is incredible, but to be honest, I'm even surprised by how well he's playing already and the fact that he seems to be not carrying the Real Madrid team, but he's already one of the superstars. He's getting them over the line in big games, most notably the most recent game against Barcelona, the El Clasico. What a massive game that is in world football. And then Real Madrid have got a 20-year-old scoring 2 goals to come from behind and win that game. So I haven't seen him, he famously very versatile. He can play number 6, 8 and 10, and it seems for Real Madrid he's playing a lot more further forward in a much more advanced position. Kind of playing that number 10, maybe false 9 role. I guess a big role in creating goals, but also scoring goals. His first goal for Real Madrid in the El Clasico was absolutely magnificent. He scores from long range, hits it so clean. To have these kind of things in your locker at his age and to be able to do it in such a big game, you see these guys they can do it in training, they can do it in friendlies, they can do it in some of these smaller competitions, but in that fixture, there's enormous pressure to perform, and the fact that he can do it in that game, in that moment, is very, very commendable. And to me, he's certainly impressed me so far and everything he's doing. I think the numbers are speaking for themselves, the amount of goals he's getting. I've not mentioned the assists yet, so we're looking at 3 assists as well in the first 13 games, so 16 goal contributions overall, and that's both in the league and the Champions League. For this young guy to come in, you think Real Madrid has signed him, and over the years he will gradually impress and keep improving, and he'll become that, potentially that Real Madrid great player, the Galactico signings, all things like that we've seen from the past. But for me, the timing in which he's already started to do that has been what's most impressive. The biggest thing of all, having just mentioned the El Clasico, he's obviously doing it for England as well. He's scoring goals in big games. It looks like he's one of the better players already in that team. And again, you look at other players that should be in their prime. You look at some of the senior players. You've got obviously Harry Kane and even like Rashford and Grealish and guys like that. They're a lot older than Bellingham. He's only 20 and he seems to be competing at that level and carrying them and getting the goals. And every time I watch him play, it seems like he is just by far the best player on the pitch, and he's just man of the match all the time. You rarely see him have a bad game. And even for years when he was at Borussia Dortmund as a teenager, doing so well in that team, we saw him linking up with Haaland and all the records he was setting in the Champions League, like youngest player to get to 10 goals and things like that. I think it's just incredible, and obviously has a bright future for all the English fans out there who hope that England are going to do well. It definitely helps to have this guy around, and he's a very exciting talent. But yeah, he seems to have it all really. He's got the goals, he's getting the assists, he's got the passing range, he's got the shooting, he's got the strength. You see the size of him, his physique, he's about 6'1", he's quick. He's literally ticking every single box there is, and the fact that he's not progressed, into a move to Real Madrid, which a lot of players do in their prime. We look at Ronaldo and Bale, and when they're maybe mid-20s and they kind of make that step when they've kind of impressed already. But for me, I thought when a number of clubs were interested in him this summer when he was at Dortmund, he could have come to the Premier League, and it seemed like he might do that given he's obviously English and a lot of clubs were interested. He had the pick of the lot, but obviously he chose Real Madrid at the end of the day. And we've seen players like that go to Real Madrid, and sometimes it feels a little bit premature when they go. Obviously, it's very competitive. You're fighting for a spot in the squad. We saw Odegaard. I remember him signing for them at like 16, which is obviously an amazing achievement just to get that contract and tick that box as a player to say that you've made it and you've gone to Real Madrid. But I think for him in particular, Odegaard, it was just a bit too early, because now we see him where he's much older, playing for Arsenal, and finally he's kind of found himself as a player and he's really performing well, and he's now the captain of that team. And had he just held off on that big move for a little bit longer and got a little bit more experience, because you got a young teenager fighting for a spot against the likes of Toni Kroos and Modric and Casemiro at the time, where they've got that famous midfield three that won 3 Champions Leagues in a row. It always seems like it's going to be hard to make that big step up, but Jude Bellingham's gone in there now. He's 20 years old, and he's almost like you'd have to say he's like the first name on the team sheet. He's taken the number 5 number, which famously Zidane had, and you think, what an incredible player Zidane was, and now people are going to be comparing yourself to him, and you've kind of made that comparison yourself by choosing his old number. But in terms of what he's doing on the pitch and the returns he's getting and the numbers he's putting up already, if he keeps that up, there's going to be some very interesting conversations going forward in future with where he sits, because Zidane's got such an amazing legacy. He's obviously done things on the international stage as well. But yeah, I just think it's incredible to do it so young. If you see a player at 28, like I said, when Bale goes there and he scores some big goals and he wins all the big trophies for Real Madrid, and you think at the time they smashed the transfer record to sign Bale, and given everything he's won, it was definitely worth it. But looking at Bellingham now being so much younger, I think that is such a big element, at least for me, to kind of analyse and say the maturity and the ability he's got at that age seems to be off the scale. The only person I can think of who's similar to that, obviously mentioning Odegaard, but even like Michael Owen, he obviously burst onto the scene with Liverpool and won a Ballon d'Or at the age of 21, I think, and obviously signing for Real Madrid as well, another similarity there. But I don't think he quite reached the heights maybe he should have at Real Madrid, given everything looked so promising beforehand with everything he had done and what he'd won at club level. Again, that move to Real Madrid just wasn't as successful as maybe he would have hoped, and it's obviously a big move. There's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of scrutiny. They're arguably one of the biggest, if not the biggest club in the world. You look at their success in European football, the amount of Champions Leagues they've won. There's so much pressure. We saw like Hazard going there recently, and again, things didn't quite work out for him, and sometimes fans can turn on you quite easily and they can boo you. There's a very, very high expectation every year to be winning trophies, either winning the league or the Champions League itself. He's obviously a player that you keep your eye on and just see how well they're doing. Myself personally, I obviously watch a lot of the Premier League, so I obviously just catch most of his work in the Champions League, as well as seeing obviously highlights and things of that in the Spanish League. But yeah, he's really hit the ground running, and he's got everything that you need to have a tremendous career, as well as England, who have for so long as a nation not quite done too well in international tournaments, but quite recently they seem to be improving very slowly, reaching finals and semi-finals of Euros and World Cups respectively, and just having that guy in the team and just knowing that he's going to be kind of in and around that squad is very exciting future, given the player he already is. So I guess that's the final point there as well, given the player he already is and what we can see him do. And you think he's only 20, so what's he going to look like in 8-10 years time when he's pushing that 28-30 age bracket, where he's kind of coming into his prime and he's had so much more experience, the amount of games he's played at the highest level. This isn't a guy smashing goals in the Championship or in the Europa League or maybe one of these slightly lower level competitions or leagues, but he's doing it at Real Madrid in the Champions League, in the El Clasicos. He's doing it on the biggest stage, which is probably the biggest thing you could say about it in terms of the achievement and everything like that. So he's already going to be in that conversation of, is he the best midfielder right now? We've got the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, who for me has been so good for so long, but I think he might be slowly on the decline. He's been unfortunate recently with injuries and things like that. Obviously had a great season last year with Man City, but it's always kind of exciting to see these young players coming through and kind of trying to pick out who's going to be the next generation of midfielders and these world-class players. And we might see Jude Bellingham now having signed for Real Madrid at 20. Is he now going to spend 10 years, maybe more, at Real Madrid? Is he going to make a move to the Premier League or somewhere else? Who knows, but it's definitely something to really get excited about. And I think, yeah, someone like that who everyone seems to like, he seems to say all the right things in his interviews. And we've obviously got his younger brother who's doing really well as well. He's playing at Sunderland right now, and it'll be very interesting to see whether or not he kind of catches up, or who becomes the better out of the two brothers, and whether they end up playing together and things like that. Having mentioned Hazard, he was obviously a famous family where there was two brothers, but it seemed one was a bit better given what they achieved, but playing for Belgium together is obviously something great to see. But anyways, I just wanted to put my thoughts out there and chat a little bit about him. I've been a big fan. It was very unfortunate because for me personally, he was rumoured with Liverpool for so long, and to be honest, I never really saw that happening given how much we would have had to pay for him and the wages and things like that, and especially Liverpool last season not qualifying for the Champions League. And then, there was a lot of headlines late in the piece when they kind of pulled out and they said it's not really worth it. We're going to have to sign a number of midfielders to kind of rebuild this team, and we can't really put all our eggs in one basket signing Jude Bellingham. But for me in that moment, it was a little bit upsetting because, like I said, it felt like you could sign this guy and you're just going to have a world-class player in your midfield for a number of years. Given his age, it's a massive investment, but already he is that world-class player. So it's great to see. It's really exciting. I just want to put my thoughts out there. Let me know in the comments what you guys think in terms of how well he's doing already. Did you expect it? Did you not? And even some of the goals he's scoring have been incredible, and he's definitely excited me, and I look forward to seeing what else he has in future. But anyways, that's essentially all for today. I just wanted to touch on Jude Bellingham. I've been Ant. This has been Red Mate. Please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed the content. But that's been all for today, and I'll see you in the next one.